Hello and welcome, gamers, to the Apex on Switch video. Jimmy, we just played a lot of Apex Legends on Switch.
Yeah.
This is old now. This is it's getting up there in age.
Yeah, I don't want to be too mean since like they've been releasing shooters on this bad boy for a while.
Nice. Yes.
They've never been really great.
We've never had like a Call of Duty on DS style situation with the Switch, thankfully. It's a lot more powerful, but here's the deal. For a while, the Switch was getting a lot of major ports, right? The first and especially the second year, we saw stuff like Doom and a lot of games that had no business running on a mobile Switch up and running really easily. But then it's been a little bit of a lull recently, especially with these new consoles. Apex is the first major like cross-platform game to hit the Switch in a little while. I mean, we've seen some smaller titles, but like nothing that's actually like AAA, like graphics, rated action. Let's talk about Apex Legends for a second. So this is, of course, free to play like it is on every platform, although also like on every platform, the cross compatibility on your items and stuff, not quite there. The basic specs are 30 FPS, which I think a lot of people who are playing competitively hate, but this is a Switch. Everything remotely graphically intensive is a 30 FPS title.
Yeah, definitely.
On top of that, you're looking at 720p for the docked mode and 576p for the portable mode. Now, any game like this running on the Switch, you expect some limitations, right? I mean, 30 FPS isn't a huge issue, but I think what a lot of people are complaining about is that it's not necessarily hitting that. I don't actually totally agree. It's one of those things where when you're playing on the TV, you notice anything a lot more, right? When you're running a Switch game on the TV, everything's blown up, so the low resolution, the frame drops are a lot more noticeable.
Yeah.
Me playing on the smaller Switch Lite screen, it felt fine. I did notice some frame drops, but the thing that was really bothering me were the controls, right? I mean, the Switch has never been great for first-person shooters.
The sticks are short, obviously, because it's a portable system. So if you got to put it in like a travel case, it's got to be kind of as close to flush as you can get. And the way that a lot of Switch games make up for that is by having gyro. And gyro
is on by default.
Yeah, and it's not meant to be like the main way you aim. It's meant to like fine tune your like overall aim. I turned it off because I was using the Joy-Cons without a grip, but even still, it did not feel polished.
Yeah, I can imagine if you spend enough time with it, there's probably some version where like you use the sticks to kind of get roughly in the zone and then you use the gyro to kind of get that last little bit. Because I did notice you have some dead zone built in, which playing it for a little while, I was able to get okay, but I definitely don't feel like I'm competitive with this.
No way.
One of the things we found though was that you can disable crossplay, so you can play just with people on the Switch, which seems like a cool idea, except that it didn't work. We could never get into a game with crossplay disabled.
Yeah, we waited like 4 minutes, and then when we turned it back on, it put us in a game immediately, which is good. That's good.
Yeah.
It put us right in a game, but it kept matching us with just Switch people, because you can tell, like when you're running up to someone to shoot them on Switch, you see them kind of like aiming around trying to get the fine-tuned aim. You've got great recoil, obviously. It's just like not ideal, but it was nice to not be getting completely destroyed by someone on an Xbox Series X.
So I haven't played a ton of Apex on PC, right? So this is not a game that I'm super familiar with, but I was impressed with how decent it actually does look, right?
Yeah.
Take the resolution, especially on dock mode, take it down a notch, right? Like obviously you have to have some lower expectations, but especially playing on portable mode, the effects generally seem to be there. The draw distances weren't crazy. For a Switch game, if you look at it just like that, pretty impressive. Now, there aren't a lot of options. You can't change your graphic settings. I do wish I could expand my field of view a little bit. Playing on the Switch, even portable, feels like I've got a little bit of tunnel vision.
Yeah, it feels like 70, and I would want it to be around like 80, 90.
Yeah, just a little bit wider, right? Yeah. But this is sort of an interesting thought into where the Switch is here in 2021, right? A lot of people are complaining about Apex. I will personally say, based on our playing of it, it's literally been out for a day now at this point.
Yeah, like a full day. That's it.
It's a good port, right? Panic Button does good work. There's not a lot that I am surprised about. Like my expectation was actually lower going into this, especially seeing people say like, oh, the frame rate's terrible and stuff. Yeah, if you're used to playing Apex with 144 hertz monitor on your game PC or a PS5 controller or something, this is a major downgrade. But when you put in the context of playing on a portable Switch that came out 4 years ago, I'm pleasantly surprised, at least with the performance. Some of the other things are, well, they made some questionable decisions on some other spaces.
I gotta complain about the microtransactions in this game. It is more than egregious. Yeah. So you start up, you only have a few different Legends. That's what they're called. Your characters are. You have the base ones that came out with the game, and then it's 750 Apex coins, which is their little currency, to buy one new one. And of course, they have a bunch of bundles that come with skins and more coins. We looked at the Bloodhound bundle, and it came with a unique skin for Bloodhound, and then 1,000 coins in addition to that. So if you pay $20 for the Bloodhound bundle, you have the ability to buy another character. But like, I don't know. The minimum you can pay here is $10. You can't buy 750 Apex coins.
Yeah, the free-to-play aspect here, which, to be fair, this is not really a Apex on Switch issue. This is just Apex generally.
Yes.
The problem, though, is that if you have like cross-play enabled, right, you can play with people on PC or console, whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
But what you cannot do is bring in any kind of in-game items that you've purchased from another platform over to Switch, which would make so much sense, right? If I've got a ton of time invested, money invested into my PC character, I can just bring it right over to Switch and play. That's, I think, where the Switch really makes sense. Most people use this as a secondary device. This is what I want to play when I'm chilling on the couch or in the back of a train or whatever the case is.
Play Nintendo games. Like,
exactly.
That's what you're getting it for. But
and who's going to spend, dozens or hundreds of dollars building up, right?
Yeah, a massive Apex library.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a problem with the Switch as a whole. We've seen a lot of these live service games come to the Switch. We've got Warframe, Dead by Daylight. Now we've got Apex Legends, Fortnite, and Overwatch. And Fortnite does it great. You log into your account. They had a weird issue at the beginning where Sony wouldn't let if you ever logged into your Epic account on a PlayStation, you could not use it on a Nintendo Switch. They fixed that. They let you migrate it over. That all worked out. I love playing Fortnite on Switch. It lends itself really well to Switch because it's a cell shaded game, very cartoony graphics. Apex, like you were just saying, I feel like is in the same wheelhouse. But if I've already spent hundreds and hundreds of hours on PC grinding up their free currency to buy every character, and then I download Apex Legends, 25 gigs on Switch, which is absolutely massive.
Huge.
I boot it up and then I see that I have virtually nothing. That's disappointing. I feel like the Switch is such a supplementary console to everything else you have.
Yeah.
I just feel like at this point in 2021, there's no excuse not to have crossplay enabled.
You can play with other people. It's not like this is like a Switch-only kind of thing.
Yeah.
But they want you to re-buy all of your items, all your tokens. Like that to me is a little bit excessive. But this has got me really thinking. Playing this for the hardware that we've got here is not bad. Like really the performance and everything. My biggest issue wasn't actually the performance, which again, speaking from someone who doesn't always play this 144 hertz, 30 is what it is.
Acceptable.
It's fine.
For what you're playing on, it's acceptable.
Yeah.
If it was on an Xbox or a PlayStation 5, another story completely.
Yeah.
But
my bigger issue really was not so much the frame rate, but really was the actual controls, right? I don't think the Switch is really ideal for a first-person shooter,
Right.
and certainly not one that you want to be competitive in. These are all like you can fix that with a Switch Pro controller, right? You won't be able to fix the performance,
Yeah.
but again, if you're playing the Switch, this is a portable console that you can dock, but that's where it really kind of shines. Is you toss it in your bag, you play a round or two. That's not so bad, but of course we can't really talk about all of this without mentioning the idea of the Switch Pro. Switch Pro, Switch Pro, Switch Pro,
every
Switch
video.
Pro.
We gotta mention the Switch Pro.
Well,
man.
and you even did a little bit of talking about that in your most recent PS Ready, which of course, if you
Yeah.
guys have not subscribed to Jimmy and the PS Ready channel, you absolutely should do so. But the idea here being that with a new Switch that is almost certainly on the way this year, it's not gonna push the resolution, right? It's still gonna be a 720p OLED display. Yeah. But what they're really gonna do, hopefully, is to improve the performance. Because think about it, right? Now that we're here 4 years into the Switch life cycle, yes, it is impressive that this can run sort of watered down ports of PS4 and Xbox One games, right? That's impressive. It's not quite as powerful, but it's able to kind of get in the ballpark. Now that we're going to see more and more games being developed first for PS5 and Series X, the Switch will fall behind. We will still be able to play all the Nintendo games we want in the world, but games like Apex that are designed with higher graphics in mind just simply won't be able to run on a triple core, tiny low wattage processor from 2015 or whatever. Now, there's certainly something to the Switch, right? This has been a very successful console. It is powerful enough to play, the Wii U ports and a lot of these Nintendo games. And of course, a big part of the appeal personally for me is the fact that it is the best portable console out right now. A Switch, as far as I'm concerned, is still a much better way to play most games than it would be on your phone, right?
I am so against playing games on my phone. Like I was so disappointed after the Final Fantasy VII event where they showed off that they're bringing all like the PSP Crisis Core game, the original Final Fantasy VII, Advent Children, like all of these. They were like, we're remastering them slightly for a brand new package, and it's going to be only on iOS and Android.
Yeah.
It's like, you have this thing right here running on a mobile chip. It runs on a mobile NVIDIA chip.
Yeah.
You should be porting stuff to this if you can, because people buy it.
And of course, like, there is the argument to be made that the phone in your pocket, if it's a somewhat recent flagship, is more powerful than a Switch, which is true, right? I mean, this is...
Yeah, totally.
This was not cutting edge when it first came out 4 years ago, right?
There was already a better chip they could have used,
absolutely, right? So Switch Pro is already kind of needed in some ways. But for me, I like the idea of having a physical set of controls and ultimately games that are custom designed for it, not like I've got, you know, a bunch of mobile apps on my device, whatever. Like, generally speaking, the Switch is great. The main thing I think the Switch needs is the performance to keep up, right? It doesn't need to be some revolutionary new console. They can nip it, they can tuck it, but the main thing is the Switch is getting older, and the Switch is at risk right now of falling behind. We're not gonna see more of these ports in 2-3 years without more performance. It just simply will not be possible to downgrade the game so far to make it run. Already the games that run on Switch, every single one of these AAA ports feels like a minor miracle when they can actually get it running at some okay frame rate and okay resolution considering the spec. The main thing I think Nintendo needs to do with the Switch Pro is just deliver enough performance where it can kind of play, you know, these kind of games decently, but importantly, it can at least somewhat play ports of Series X and PS5 games.
Yeah.
Obviously not as well, but it just needs to be able to do what this could do 4 years ago when it first came out.
Right, and they've been doing a really good job about playing nice with devs. I really think they also got to start sending some people out to be like, hey, what do we got to do to get you guys to figure out cross progression? Like, we have, like, Nintendo has a huge player base they can leverage. You know, they're like, they can go to these devs and say, yeah, this thing isn't running your game as good as it possibly could, but we have X many more people playing it on our console than you do on like Xbox One or Xbox Series X, right? Yeah. They have ways to leverage that and get devs on board with making sure you can carry over your progression, because that's what this thing's for. It's for taking on the go, or like when you're going on vacation, when COVID's over, obviously, and you're at a hotel and you don't want to bring a gaming laptop or your whole gaming PC. Having this thing in your backpack and just being able to log into Apex, have all your stuff there, get a few kills in Battle Royale, kill some time. Like, that's what this is made for. And we've seen cross save happening enough with other games on PS5, Xbox Series X. Switch needs to be brought into that ecosystem as well. There's no excuse at this point. It's all on the devs, I think. I don't think it's Nintendo.
You know what there's also no excuse for?
What?
Not subscribing to Jimmy's channel, PS Ready. Shameless plug alert. Jimmy, thank you very much for being on and talking me through the wonders of Apex on the Switch.
Yeah.
Let us know in the comments below what you think about ports like Apex on the Switch and what you really think the next Switch Pro, the brand new Switch, actually needs.
Yeah, and if you want to hear about the PS5 and everything PlayStation and not the Nintendo Switch, which we just talked about for 20 minutes, definitely subscribe to PS Ready. We've been doing some really cool videos.
Very cool stuff.
We've been mocking up the next PS5. We got this little teeny tiny one that I love more than anything.
Yeah, definitely go check that video out.
It's gonna be great.